I really kind of hate the whole New Year's resolution thing. And it's like, why wait for a new year to change? If something isn't working, change it right then. Start changing it right then and there. Don't wait for the new year.
We can often stall our progress just by waiting for the air quote perfect moment or the new calendar year to make a move, make a change, something like that. I'm excited for this discussion with Laura. She is also a recovering perfectionist, and one of the things we talk about is that shield in perfectionism and how we can reclaim our power by leading with curiosity. She's got an awesome story, and I look forward to you joining.
This is Leadership Sound Bites. Real leaders, real moments, real growth.
Welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites. My super special guest, who Sabrina Johnson introduced me to because you were on a podcast with her and Chris. And then you and I connected. You're like one of my new favorite people. Okay.
You are one of mine as well. So
thank you. It's just, I love your journey and your story. Laura Cross, founder of White Sands, pretty much all the stuff. So wellness, it was travel agency at first. You were in the Air Force. I mean, you got a freaking cool background. And then your story is awesome. And so I thought I need to meet her. And I think other people are going to benefit from your story too, and just the thoughts and what's on your mind. So welcome to this chat, and your quote just makes me smile. So if you can share that.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, and those three are just the ones that I've stuck with the longest. I've got a lot more, a lot more in my background. So yeah, my favorite quote has got to be when I had, met my fiance, which, we've been together for about 19 years now. Being a recovering perfectionist, I was always one of those ones that are just, always uptight and just trying to get everything right and do all this stuff. And if something happened to my friends or my family, I would take it on and I'd be all upset. And he looked at me and he's like, okay, he said, so is it something that you can do something about and change? And I said, no. And he says, then let it go, which is true, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it makes no sense. I mean, there's so many people I know of that get absorbed into the news and all the negative and all the bad stuff that's out there, and they get so fired up and angry and
Mm-hmm.
negative, and it affects everything. But, the thing is there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, when it comes time to vote, yeah, go vote, do what you can. But, unless it's some kind of a cause that you're taking up, there's nothing that you can do about it. So let it go, and when you can change something, then make that change. If you don't like it, then you got to take the time to change it. That's why I really kind of hate the whole New Year's resolution thing. And it's like, why wait for a new year to change? If something isn't working, change it right then. Start changing it right then and there. Don't wait for the new year.
Yeah. When you were talking, I have to imagine, because I can 100% relate. I am a recovering perfectionist. And there used to be this tension, right, of the control aspect of it. And the reality of it is, I think Tony Robbins calls it, he said it's a lousy goal, impossible goal, so whatever the language was, because it's impossible to achieve. And so it's a terrible standard if that's the standard. But when you were talking, I thought, how much has her life changed since embracing that quote, right?
Yeah. Since embracing the quote, since embracing being perfectly imperfect, I will tell people you either resonate with me or you don't, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay. Um, I guess the my journey really, and I've with Sabrina's help and everything, and doing some channeling, it just wakened up some more epiphanies. That whole perfectionism thing that really came from when I was younger. I mean, it was a conversation that I overheard. And as a 5-year-old, my perception was something different, that I was supposed to be someone else. And so I kept doing everything to follow in those footsteps or to try to become that person, um, to make everybody else happy. And wasn't really looking at what was going to make me happy or who I was. I was just busy trying to fill a role. So anytime you say something and someone questions it, or they, ask your older sibling or something, it's like, it kept kicking in this need that, okay, I'm still not perfect. I'm still not what I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And um Yeah, that really stifles you in so many ways. It stifles you when you try to grow a business as a person, how you see things. People used to call me a perfectionism or a perfectionist. I'd say, you call it perfectionism, I call it pride. It really was just an excuse.
Hmm.
It wasn't addressing it. It was just kind of burying it or denying that that's the way I was.
Hmm.
So it took a lot of years, and it's only been in the last I ditched perfectionism almost 2 years ago, but it's
Hmm.
only been in the last few months, couple months here, that I really realized where it all started from.
That's an interesting thing. And the thing is, and I'm sure you know this, we don't have to know where it came from. It's kind of nice to
Hmm.
unlock it. But what you talked about too is I'm going to go back to positive intelligence, Coach Shazad, and that whole training. It was like a 6-week training I went to, but the whole idea is it's around our saboteurs that are the voices in our head. One of them is the stickler, i.e., perfectionism, right? This stuff comes from childhood.
Hmm.
And exactly the scenario you're talking about, the upbringing we have, the environment that we're in, the stuff we overhear. And we don't realize how it informs who we are and how we experience life. And we own it as identity. Like for you, it was like there was some sense, like you said, pride in who you were, even though it had to bristle because it's like there's a difference, I'm sure you know now, between just having pride and wanting to do a great job and quality and this impossible task that you set for yourself. It needs to be perfect. I mean, I know that, I mean, I've spent 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning in accounting because it had to be perfect.
Right.
And then the next day I go to work, of course, I was at work until 2 or 3 in the morning, at home working remotely. But then I go to work and we made changes to this perfect thing. And it's like, it's not a good place to keep yourself in. And then you get pissed off because the thing had to change because you put so much time in it. At least that's how I was.
Yeah, I used to be that way, and I always had trouble, and I still struggle with the overthinking a little bit because I will get in my head, I will get in my own way. But then I'll just remember that nope, I'm making this harder than what it needs to be. And if something's really that difficult, I've learned to just get up and walk away. But the one thing I want to be clear on is it's not putting blame. It's not
Mm-mm,
blaming anybody about because of this or because of
mm-mm,
my childhood. It was literally a conversation that I overheard or an
mm-hmm.
argument that I overheard as a child, and it just stuck with me that I was supposed to be a boy, was not supposed to be a girl. But that's not even what the argument was about, but that's how this 5-year-old interpreted it. And that was,
Yeah.
and that's nothing I ever shared with anybody. I just from then on started copying my father for everything, trying to be that son that, he wanted. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where mine where mine came from. And it wasn't anything to share with anybody. That's just what I had overheard, and that's what I just
Yeah.
started doing. And I just kind of started becoming this whole other person.
Yeah, it's a good call out because to your point, it's not about blame, but it's about understanding the impact that our environment has on our subconscious, right? Because I think we talked about this, the subconscious main job is to keep us safe,
Hmm.
okay? And the other one is to use the least amount of energy. So if you think about a 5-year-old that heard this, at some point your world was rocked, okay? It wasn't directed at you, but you're like,
Right.
you did not feel safe and secure, right? Because you weren't what the person that you admired expected or wanted. He didn't know you heard this. And it would probably break his heart if he thought that that's what the 5-year-old path went on to, right? But it's an interesting thing. What happens is subconscious goes, I got this. I got this. And you don't even know the subconscious is going, I got this. Tag me in, Laura. We're good. This will be fine. Right? And
Yep.
all of a sudden you're off on this path of, I'm going to emulate the male that I respect in my world. Okay. And that's going to be it. And it's an interesting thing because I remember at one point I heard my parents, because I was trying to understand block, a limiting belief that I had around wealth, right? And success and everything else. And it took me back to what I overheard my parents talking about innocent enough.
Hmm.
My dad was in the Air Force. He was enlisted, right? Chief Master Sergeant at the time. He may have been a senior or whatever it is, but they were talking about something around the career path of officer versus enlisted. And my father made the conscious choice in the beginning not to go officer route because he wasn't that kind of people,
Yeah.
whatever that meant, right? And so
I know what that means,
in
but yeah.
my yeah, in my little world as a kid, because the context was around, FaceTime and politics and there was an elevation to officers that enlisted, weren't perceived that way. It was like we're not those kind of people. You know, people who go to parties and rub elbows with people and dress up and wear tuxedos and nice, we're not those people. That was my limited thing. And I had to get to a point because I was asking myself, Sam, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
And that was one thing that I can cite. And I was probably 7, maybe. But it puts a block because your brain is going, okay, what's our identity? And so we're going to do everything in our power to align what we're experiencing to our identity. And that became one of mine. I'm not those kind of people. What does that mean? Right? But as a kid, it had way more meaning than what it did.
Yeah, it's really, to me, it's really stereotypes. It's what's been taught to us or what we grew up in, and we like just keep passing it down. And unless you take some time and wake up from that and make a difference, the pattern repeats. It's
Yeah.
just kind of like when you start to become an entrepreneur and you're just starting in business and you have all these successful people, and oh my God, we put them on this pedestal. They're just people. They're
Hmm.
just people that did things differently, learned how to do things differently. And when I started to meet in some of them, and one of them even told me, he's like, "Don't put me on a pedestal. It falls when it hurts when I fall." I'm like, it's just somebody that did something differently.
Hmm.
But when you have the media or movies, whatever, people that are all, oh my God, and they put this whole stereotype to them, you start to get that in your mind, and you don't get to look at the person for who they are,
Hmm.
which is one of the reasons why I am so passionate about building a judgment-free, holistic community, because we all
Hmm.
have the right to be who we are and perceive people who they are.
Hmm.
There's no reason to be nasty. If it's something you don't agree with or you don't like, that's okay. You don't have to associate with that person. You don't
Hmm.
have to agree with them, but there's no need to go out of your way to make that person feel worse or smaller. Just that's what works for them. Okay, let it go.
Yeah, there's two words that come to mind when you're talking, and one of them is acceptance. And the other is, and I think we've talked about this before, is curiosity. Because when I come across people that think differently than me, right, that have a
Mhm.
different experiences, I get curious. I'm like, help me understand. What does that mean to you? What's going on? Because it's not a lot of times what we'll do as humans is we react to the look. And if the look is different than what we're used to, we may get uncomfortable. And uncomfortable leads to judgment because it's air quotes safer that way.
Right.
And I think if we can just get curious, because to your point, it's another human. So someone's got blue hair or pink hair or green hair. It's like, okay, so it's a way to express themselves. Is it something I would do? No. Does it mean it's bad? No. But there's a meaning and a reason behind it. It's like your quote, right? Where did it come from? What does it mean to you? What has it done for you? How many times have you shared it?
Oh, I've shared it lots.
Yeah.
I've shared it lots. And when you start fixing things, you see other people doing it. But, the thing is everybody, when they see or something that they don't agree with, it's like they either have a comment to make or they want to make them change them or they want to make them see their way. It's not about that. You don't, like I said, you don't have to agree, but it's to be curious, as you said, and have an open mind or maybe try and see it from their perspective. You might learn something.
Hmm.
We could all learn something.
Well,
I think we could all grow and learn something from each other.
and it's like you have uh, is it the AO voice? Is that
Hmm.
what it's called?
Yeah, AO voice scan.
Yeah, so I got it. I know we're scheduled for this coming Friday. There's a curiosity I have about this, right? So some people, it's like I was telling my neighbor about it. So it is this technology that can measure your voice and the frequency in your voice and do some diagnostics or at least give feedback, let's say,
Hmm.
based on what could be happening in your body based on the frequency that's in your voice from this 10-second reading. So I was sharing the idea, and what it was with my neighbor, and she goes, "Well, is it accurate?" I'm like,
98% more accurate than blood work.
yeah.
Yes.
I said, "I'm gonna find out." You know? But that's the curiosity part, right?
Mhm.
Some people come and go, "Let me judge it before I know more." And then the other part is, "Let me just experience it for myself." So it is just, to me, it's a freer way of living life
Yeah.
so that we can, and I think it just opens up the gates to meeting more cool humans when you step into stuff that way, because there is so much more out there, Laura, and the longer I walk on the earth, the more I realize it. There's so much more out there than what we ever realized is out there, and we're so much more connected than what I think I ever realized. I mean, I knew at some point, yeah, we're all human beings, we're all on the earth. It's so much more than that.
It is, and it's been around for thousands of years. It's just not
Yes.
stuff that we were ever taught or people ever studied. We always have a different label for it, like when you get that feeling or you just like start thinking about somebody and all of a sudden they call. It wasn't coincidence,
Mm.
you send that vibration or frequency out, and if that person, like picks it up, they will can actually call.
Hmm.
Frequencies, vibrations, all that is all around us, and it always has been.
You
So,
know what? It gives me hope because my folks are both gone, right? And I remember when my father passed, and this was, my gosh, it'll be 20 years in May, which is just crazy. And he was the second one to go.
mhm.
I thought, I'm not ready to be that person in the family, right? I'm not ready to be air quote alone. And what it does is it made me realize and reinforce that we're not alone. And if you think that with leaders that go into things that they're afraid to do, imposter syndrome or not comfortable, whatever it is, it should give people hope, right? And confidence to step into stuff that you don't have to know 100% or even 80% of what it is. Step into it and know that there's people around you that can help you get through. I mean, I look at jobs that I've stepped into that I was not qualified for. And when I say qualified, I mean I hadn't done the job before. Did I have the ability, the potential? Yeah, a lot of us do. But when you step into a job that you're expected to have deliverables and you've never done it before, i.e., you've got a learning curve,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
there are people in your network that can help. And so for me, it can, it puts me in a place that I have more courage than what I might have otherwise had. What does it do for you? I mean, what is the change done for you? Because you've gone through, I'm going to say, a pretty significant change, like in the last 2 years, just in hearing you talk about how you view things, how you interact with yourself. What has it done for you? What are you doing
Yeah.
now that before you would have gone, oh, I'm not, that's not me.
I've changed in a lot 2 years. I mean, my change started when I lost my husband back in 2004, 4 days before Christmas. Now,
Wow.
January 21st, Wednesday here, will be 3 years since my father passed.
Wow.
And so, there's always constant changes. My mom is still here. My father has passed.
Wow.
But the more I started doing the Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross TV show, I started meeting all these beautiful people worldwide, intuitives, you name it. And, I started hearing people saying about how they were always told they were too sensitive and they had this happen and that happened. I'm like, okay, things started clicking. I was like, well, wait a minute. I was always told that I was too sensitive all my life. I've had the deja vu moments. And there's more meanings to some of this. It wasn't any of the stuff that I ever grew up around. I grew up with all the stereotype and the bad stigmatism that a lot of the stuff gets. But And when I say stuff, I mean, as far as spiritual or having guides or
Mhm.
people that are there. But when you start listening to some of these people and you hear their experiences, to me, that creates such a difference, especially the way you process things or internalize them. Now, some people have religion, and that's fine if that's their belief. It's kind of what you believe. It's like whatever brings you peace and happiness,
Mhm.
it is what works.
Mhm.
And I will tell you, and I don't mind sharing with people. Sabrina was, fantastic. She was actually able to channel in my father and my late husband before I went home for Christmas this last year.
Yeah, I love that.
And it was actually the lightest I had ever felt coming back. I mean, I kind of wished I would have done the one with my late husband a long time ago, just because there's always been kind of some unanswered questions and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's the first time that I physically noticed stuff. So I will tell you, we go to my mom's. We stay in the basement, right? There's the guest bedroom, and it's right next to the game room. And so I take the dog. Pup goes out like 4 in the morning. It's still dark in Colorado. Okay, at 4 a.m. He wants to go out. I got the light. We come in. We go through a whole day. The next night I come down to the bedroom because I'm ready to go to sleep. And there's the red light flashing in the
Mm,
game room. No one has been down there. There has been no power surges. No one was in the game room at all or playing anything. And all of a sudden now the electronic dartboard game is on and telling me game over.
mm.
And I'm like, okay, I get it. Dad's here. Dad, dad knows. It kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I was like, I didn't sit there and read everything that had I was just like, huh, okay. And I unplugged and I even checked with my fiance. I said, did you go in the game room at all? And he says, no, why? I said, Dad's here. I said, because he turned on he turned on the dartboard game. So I'm like, whether it's just to say, hey, he loves me, or just to screw
Yeah.
with me. I don't know, but I knew he was there. And I know he's always there with my mom.
Yeah.
And to have that, take it however you want. People can interpret it however they want. But to have that or something, it's just such a more peaceful, I don't know, for me, kind of a calming way, or just makes me happier rather than sadder. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
obviously I miss him. I wanted him to see where we live, and stuff, and be able to visit us down here because I used to go fishing with my father all the time. And I have all kinds of lakes around me. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, when you are open to other possibilities or other perspectives,
Hmm.
it's like it's takes a lot of weight off. It's just so much easier to kind of breathe or go through and I just felt so much happier, so much lighter, and I just felt like everything was done. I was so looking, and I'm still looking forward to this year because I know this year is going to like be even
Hmm.
better. It's just everything's starting to go in the direction where it's supposed to be, and that took time. That took time.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, you remind me of the story when Kenji, a dear family friend, was in ICU on life support. He'd had a heart attack, and this is, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe. And I remember going out to the front yard. I had my phone with me. I think I'd just gotten a message from his wife, Yoshiko. And I walked out front and I'm like, Dad, of course my dad's gone. And I'm like, and this was my dad and Kenji are friends.
Hmm.
And I said, you've got to do something. I said, it is way too soon for him to go. And of course, I'm crying and I'm upset. And I look over on the birch tree I've got in my front yard, and a red dragonfly landed. Now, I took a picture of it because I have my phone, but I'm like, I've never seen a red dragonfly. I haven't seen one since, but it was like, I gotcha. I gotcha. I'm here. Um, he got better. He got out of the hospital, all the stuff. But it was, of course, I also had another friend who does energy healing. So he did some clearing while Kenshi was in the hospital. But you use the tools that are available to you, right? You
Hmm.
use the things that are available. But it was just those messages that you get that are like, thank you. I'm not alone in this, whatever this may be, right? The good stuff, the challenging things, whatever it may be. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's
When you
just
can take away the judgment and be more open-minded and look at different perspectives, like I said, you don't have to agree with it, but I don't, it lifted a whole weight,
hmm
you know, off of me, and more people started to resonate more with me. And so
hmm
I have what I call my tribe of people. I know people out there that, yeah, if I need them, I can count on them. They're there. Or a lot of times I don't even have to do that. They have reached out to me saying, "Hey, what's going on?" And then I tell them, they're like,
hmm
"I knew something was wrong." We might not have even talked for like, a few months or so because we get busy again. We get busy working and doing this stuff. And then I was like, I knew something was off. I knew something was wrong, and those are just
My
kind of
my
undeniable
phone will
connections.
dial
It's not
people.
like not like I called them. They just sensed, felt,
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it, knew something was off.
yeah. My phone will call. Like people call it butt dialing, but
Yeah.
okay. On its own, I'm watching and it's calling. I'm like, okay then. So if it's not in the middle of the night or some, stupid early time, then it's like I'm just gonna let it go through because clearly I need to talk to them.
Right,
It's
right,
it's
right.
just weird. It's just weird. Yeah. So what's next for you? What's on the horizon?
Well, I have multiple new partnerships and stuff of other like-hearted, like-minded people, and I just look forward to seeing where it all goes to, and you know, how it grows, because I truly believe we can do more together than by
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah,
And, so to help be able to impact others to lead a healthier and happier life, whatever that looks like for them, because what it is for me may not be for them, and that's okay.
yeah, yeah. So you've got Mindful Mondays.
Mhm.
It's like a podcast, radio.
It's a
I mean,
TV
not
show.
radio,
It is
TV.
a TV show. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, because there is advertising. That's why I joked with you when I hit record. I said super similar to yours, but there's no ads.
No, it's
Um,
FCC regulated, and as a matter of fact, your episode is going to air in 20 minutes.
I love that. Share do I have a link? I have a link somewhere. Does
Uh-huh.
it record at all? Can you rewatch reruns of that, or
Oh
is it
yeah,
just the
they
one
can watch it
time?
anytime. So when you have stuff on E360 TV, it goes live at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time.
Okay.
Um, but I also stream it, and you can catch it on E360 every time. I've been running for 2 years, so you can look at any episode you want.
Oh, cool.
So if you want to see someone that was uptight and dealing with perfectionism, look at some of my first couple of episodes to what they are now. Um, I figured if people are just going to watch me grow, and they can just grow with me. I do
Yeah.
also stream it to LinkedIn, YouTube,
Okay.
E360 streams through Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple, Android, iOS web. I mean, they can watch literally from
Okay.
anywhere.
Okay.
So,
I'll put a link in the description here. I'll get it from you for people to understand that. So you've got Mindful Mondays. The AO voice thing, can you just tell people without me explaining to people? Because I explained it, but I explained it from this very like novice,
that's okay, and the more people try to understand, it depends on how they are, but really everything in this world is vibration and frequency. You are vibration. Every time you speak, you are speaking thousands of vibrations and frequencies. And so the scan uses Rife frequencies, Nikola Tesla's technology, and Albert Einstein's technology, which has been around for a really long time. And it picks up on those frequencies that are stuck in your body. So, stuck emotions, traumas, injuries. It could, if you had an injury from way back when you were younger and it hasn't quite healed, it's going to show it. If there's
Mm,
a frequency of a particular food that's causing inflammation or dysfunction in your body, it's going to show it. And some people are like, well, I never eat that. I'm like, well, good. Then you don't want to start eating this because it's already a double red and stuck in your system. So something close to the frequency that's in that, like say if it's watermelon, you might want to start avoiding all melons, for 90 days. Give your
yeah,
body a break because your body's saying I need a break. But it does MRI like images. It's not an MRI, but it's MRI like images. So you can literally tell if someone's been straining when they go. I mean, it can tell you the most detailed information. It's fun to watch people because it is highly accurate.
hmm
And some people, like, well, this didn't happen, well, that, some people will come up actually show a positive spike protein for COVID when they've never been vaccinated. But if
Mm,
they've been around people that have, because you shed skin and cells, it's still your body picked up on it. It was enough to, do it. But I can tell you when I colored my hair, I did the Hannah hair color because natural, because I really don't like doing anything toxic. But when I wanted to go lighter, I couldn't get it to take. So I went back to the L'Oreal, tried to do the
yeah.
eyebrows and everything, and I got a little bit of it in my eye. I scanned myself the next morning. Boom, hair toxins, damage to the right eye. It knew exactly where I had got the chemical,
Wow.
where I put the chemicals on me, and where I where I got the chemicals in my eye. You
Oh my
know,
God.
if someone is anxious about the scan, it will pick that up. It'll show the anxiety that's coming up in them. So it's yeah, it's an incredible tool, and it really does so much more than that. I mean, I can create playlists, I can imprint things, I can create my own like positive affirmation, music lists, and there's a
Yeah,
ton of things you can actually do with the tool.
I
But the
love
voice scan
that.
and no, just doing the voice scan and sending people 5 reports and 4 audio files is like information overload for them. And
Yeah.
all I try to tell people is don't get into the weeds. It's not a diagnostic tool. It's a tool that detects the root cause because we're looking at the root causes of
Hmm.
what's causing your trauma. Because like we were talking about traumas, emotions, if you have those trapped in your body, it's affecting your health. It's
Hmm.
coming through in aches and pains and everything else. And people don't realize the correlation to that. They just want to say,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just getting
Yeah.
older, or oh, it's this,
Mm-mm.
or oh, because I got in an accident. No, there's stuff going on, and all of that
Mhm.
affects your health.
And it's an interesting thing you just said because there are people that do look at it like, well, it's just because I'm getting older. And if I could wipe out that kind of thinking from everyone, it would be powerful because they overlook what the body is telling them to say, hey, we got a problem here, Houston, because they're attributing it to air quote old age. And I guess
Mhm.
this is just normal. It's
Yeah.
not.
They're
Uh,
overlooking their
yeah,
possibilities too.
exactly.
I know 70,
Exactly.
80-year-old people. Heck, my neighbor is 86 years old and still running the honey farm just fine. Is he maybe starting to slow down a little? Well, yeah, but it's how you treat, and it's your mindset. It's how you treat and what you do with your body. It's a whole package. It's
Yeah.
one thing or another. But when you grew up in this age, well, this is the normal age because insurance says this is what the hit. I don't care what the typical age is.
Hmm.
I know people living into their hundreds. I told
Hmm.
people I'm 58 now. It's like I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
looking at like, oh my God, I got the big. Who cares? It's a number. It's how
Yeah.
you feel and what you do with it. But
Yeah. Totally agree. I think, and it's so funny is that you get to a certain point in time that for me, I look at it and think, well, people are actually, I can carry on conversations with people I couldn't before. That some people actually pause and listen when at one point they wouldn't have, and so it's a great time to be alive. And then there's so much around the technology space that it's like we can automate things and make them more efficient that were drudgeries for us before. So what I don't like is my AI camera that moves every time stuff's happening, but we'll work on that somehow.
yeah,
So I'm gonna put links for because I have the link for the AO voice scan, and I'll get the other links from you that people can get a hold of you. I so appreciate the time. I could chat with you for a while.
I know you and I have a
So
lot in common, and I
yeah,
appreciate the opportunity of being on here.
yeah,
So I'm so glad we connected, and yeah, and then that's what it's about, right? Is connecting.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Sabrina had a sense, and she's like, "Oh no, you need to, hey, introduce." This is like, okay. Which I always tell people, if you see someone in my network that really resonates with you, reach out, and let me know. I'm happy to connect you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Out of all the stuff we've talked about, that's crazy camera, I'm seeing it off the side. What are one or two things, Laura, that you want people to walk away with?
You know, I always strongly suggest that people take the time to shut out the outside noise, just take some quiet and go within and figure out what lights you up. Because
Mm,
there's too many people out there doing these jobs to make ends meet. And to me, it's kind of wasting their life. I mean, yes, they're getting education, they're getting skills, but they're not happy. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're not happy, it affects the rest of it. It affects your family life. It affects your health. It affects so many things.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing people when, yeah, we can't all maybe just drop a job and say, oh my God, nope, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to start this. Work on a plan B,
Mm-hmm.
and then transfer. Now, I know people that just said, I had a 10-year coming up, said, nope, this is what I needed to do. And they threw everything into it. They're probably your higher risk takers, and it worked out. But you can just see them. They glow, they light up, they shine. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they are making a difference. They're helping others, and they're loving what they do. And
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's what life should be more of.
Yeah. A couple things come to mind for me, and one of them is if you're frustrated and feel stuck, don't just grab the first thing, right? So the idea is don't run from something, run to something. So to your point, what excites you? What is it about? And a lot of it you can learn from what you're currently doing because a lot of people are in the space. Well, I don't know what I want. I don't know. That's okay.
Yeah.
Take a look at your current job. Take a look at stuff that you've done in the past. What aspects of it do you enjoy? Unpack it. Maybe you don't love the people that you work with. Maybe you do love the people you work with. Maybe you love cut, but put it on a piece of paper. Sit down and think. To your point, get some time by yourself. You can always ask, what does my soul want? If you're
Yeah.
not quite at that place of asking what my soul wants,
Right. Right.
sit down and at least look at what aspects of my job do I actually enjoy doing? Because a lot of times what happens is people feel stuck, air quote stuck, and they're lumping every aspect of what they're doing into this job sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So figure out what attracted you to it at first. It's almost like a relationship. When you get to that point and it's not going great, well, there
Yeah.
was something that attracted you in the beginning. But I agree. Take some time to unpack what matters to you.
Yeah. And don't worry, and don't be afraid to test things out.
Hmm.
But if something just flat out doesn't feel right, then don't do it and try not to get stuck in the whole chasing the shiny object because trust me, I've been there. I've been in groups where, oh, everybody, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. And next thing you know, you're spending hundreds or thousands of dollars over here and over there. And you're not any farther because all you got down was one rabbit hole. And if you really unpack that, it wasn't about me to begin with. It was
Hmm.
about them and paying for them program. Whether you got what they wanted out of it or not, it didn't matter really to those particular ones. I like the coaches that I have on my show because they do care. They know not everybody's a fit, and it's not this. There's no cookie cutter anything. We're too different. That's why we're called individuals. We're too different. Everything
Yeah.
should be able to, be accustomed to you and not just, oh no, this is what works. You need to do this. Not if
Hmm.
I'm not that personality, it doesn't work. And it took me a lot of years to find out because I always got busy following one mentor after another, like we talked a little bit about with yours, or I talked about it in the short with yours. We always get told that, oh, you want to be successful, you see someone doing it, you follow them, you copy them because that's how you're supposed to be successful. Not if that's not my personality. Yes, you can learn
Hmm.
great things, but then figure out how to make it yours and make it you, because that's when
Yeah.
you attract people and that's when things grow.
Yeah. People can connect to who you really are. I totally agree. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
again.
Thank you.
Um, this has been Leadership Soundbites with Michelle and Laura. And until next time, thank you for subscribing and sharing and liking and all the stuff. And I look forward to next time. Have a freaking awesome